welcome back to No Take It Backwards. If you haven't seen the episode I'm talking about, it is available. If you just happened on this video, this is what you need. This is the message for you. Thank you, universe, for bringing us together. My name is Tasia, and this is my channel. And this is Fiona. Fiona is currently working on taking the seeds, the pits out of her cherries, depitting her cherries, because she's getting them ready to make pickles. So we are discussing boundaries and the creativity involved in boundaries. Because like I hear boundaries and it's easy to think it's a dry topic. Like, oh, that's so dry and so boring and rules. And we discussed in a little bit about how boundaries are not rules and how they're more like limits that you set for yourself and limits you accept of what you will the limits of what you accept from other people's behavior is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so with all of me talking, now we're gonna jump in so that our resident a cherry popper over there can share her thoughts about boundaries and creations.
Well, boundaries and creation, it's like how I've created my life. What I accepted in my life as a teenager, there's some things that I accepted willingly then that I won't accept now. And there were things that I didn't even know back when I was younger, my younger self, like even take me back 12 months ago, that I didn't know that I could put in some, I guess, energetic boundaries around, like it's my own thoughts. And then if you're spiritual, you can actually put some energetic boundaries in as well. Like I've had some very amazing incidences where I go, wow, thanks Spirit for helping me here with some energetic boundaries. So one of my energetic boundaries that I put in was like a certain kind of emotional behavior. Well, the emotion shows out as a behavior that I decided I no longer wanted to accept in my life. And then all of a sudden, because it was about violence and anger and that kind of thing, then all of a sudden, my husband says, I'm not going to watch the news anymore. Because I didn't like the news being on. So I would go and find myself outside in the garden or going and doing other things because I just like, oh, it's just the same negative crap that I've heard all my life. You know, like it's just the same story on repeat. I don't want to hear it. I don't want that in my life anymore. And then all of a sudden he's like, well, I'm not watching the news anymore. Where did that come from? Then I thought, oh, that would be my energetic boundary that I might have just put in. And there was another one that I put in around, I just want people with this like happy, doesn't have to be like over the top gregarious, but just joyful, happy, pleasant, loving, kind, caring kind of approach is what I want to accept into my house. And all of a sudden, some people just weren't turning up. I go, oh, okay. That's interesting. Maybe that's my energetic boundary that's just come in. Well, that's good. I don't mind that. I didn't know, like even 12 months ago, that that was possible. What I did know was, oh, I don't really like that vibe that that person's bringing to me. And then I'd try and find a way to like get myself out of it. And I'd feel uncomfortable about saying, no, thank you, thanks, but no, thanks. And working out a way to not have them in my life or not as much in my life. So like there's other ways around boundaries that I didn't know existed until recently. So it's nice to be able to share that with other people so that they can start thinking about, well, how can I put in an energetic boundary? What can I do? Is it something that I want to do? Because it was like, what do I want to be? How do I want to live my life? People have put that question to me. How do I want to live my life? And somebody put it to me, in imagining your life in the future, imagining what it sounds like, tastes like, smells like, feels like, as I touch, like my cherry fingers, as I touch something else. But what does it feel like on my skin? And what does it feel like emotionally? Like, what are all the different feels? What does it feel like from me on the inside pushing out to this moment? And what does it feel like receiving in this moment? So it's like the giving and receiving of all of those different senses at the time. So it really had me thinking deeply around what is it that I really want. And I guess that comes down to boundaries. What am I willing to accept? And what am I willing to dismiss and let go? And what am I willing to go, okay, I'm letting that go with grace and gratitude. Thank you. And sometimes that includes people that have been in my life, and all of a sudden I put them into the autumn leaf category. Like, they have been useful. Useful doesn't sound nice, but they've been a meaningful part of my life for a certain period of time. And perhaps I have been for them too, but now we no longer serve each other in the same way as we did before. I don't know. How about you, Tasia? What do you think?
I love so much that you're asking this, because as you're talking, I feel like boundaries are such a pivotal part. And by pivot, I mean like literally a pivot, like a hinge for when you are starting over, or you're beginning again, or you're just moving into a phase of life to live life like you've never lived it before, which hopefully we're all doing every day, but maybe that's a little idealistic. But one of the things I've noticed as I heal from past pain, past trauma, past um loops that I had myself in. So I was, like maybe not the healthiest pattern of behavior. One that I chose I didn't want because I didn't like what it brought into my life, or I didn't like how it made me feel, or I didn't like the impact it had on the other people. There's lots of ways that that can happen where it's just like, this is not my ideal. And one of the first things of changing anything is realizing that this is for me, this is not for me, and letting it go. When something, like when you're taking the pit out of the cherry, like the cherry has changed forever. There's no going back. That cherry's never going to be like it was when it was growing on the tree. But it's also part of nature, because the fruit drops and you do something with it, or it just rots and continues its life cycle in a different way. But like, it's the season for harvesting cherries, so you have to like harvest them when you can. And when you're harvesting them, their nature changes. And I've noticed, like, one of the hardest things for me going through my own changes is the upset that sometimes happens with friends and family, or just who I was, like having parts of my identity change and the nature of my identity change. And that can be really painful, but it's the boundary work that helps me create a future to live into, where I can leave what I don't want behind me and take what I do want into the future. So like on the outer side, it might look a little like rules. The limit part might look like rules. But there's something to be said. I mean, it's like a shell in the sea, the ocean, it's like where you have a soft-bodied animal. The shell really helps protect it, like clams and oysters and crabs. Like it's their hard outer shell that protects them. And then, like, even in our own bodies, like, our cell membranes are part of what protects us. And it's not to keep stuff out, because if you have a cell membrane, stuff comes in and goes out. But it's the selectivity of what's permeable and what's not permeable, what's allowed and what's not allowed. And that allows the cell to create its own little internal ecosystem. And so when you're talking about, I don't want this vibration, this energy of anger and violence and like out really loud, angry noises in your vicinity, and you set that boundary, and then in your little microcosm, the news isn't on because it has that energy to it. So I I've noticed I've started doing boundary work energetically, and I've noticed that some of the relationships that I feel like I was giving too much to, or too much was being demanded from me without with regardless of what is going on in my world, have shifted significantly. A lot more, what's the word I'm trying to think of? Appreciative, a lot more respect, a lot more like equality in what is moving back and forth. And it's almost like the energetic boundary did what my consciousness, like my words, I've tried with my words so many times and my words didn't shift it. But when I put the boundary, my energy shifted with the boundary. And so then how I experience life seems to have shifted as well.
I totally agree with that. I think, like that old saying, you bring the weather with you.
Mm.
And what, it's taken me a long time to really understand that.
I don't think I've ever heard that saying before. I'm like, is that an Australian savings?
Maybe it is.
But yeah.
But look, like, and there's that other one, smile and the world smiles with you.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. So if it's and then there's other people that say you attract what you are, you attract, what you need.
Yeah.
What are you attracting with it? And it's like, well, okay, I don't want to be in this muck anymore. I want something different. And how am I going to get that something different? What I want to live and how I want to live my life, how am I going to do that? And being surrounded, who are the people that I'm going to be surrounded by? What's the vibe they're giving off? How am I going to live the life I want to live with the people that are around me? And it's like that other saying about find your tribe. And so I've also had that seeker versus finder sort of like contrast as well. Like, am I going looking everywhere for my tribe, or am I just going to be the tribe that I want to be, and then watch how those people come attracted to me? And then, like, there's all these metaphors, and there's the other one about be the lighthouse. So all the ships that need you come to you, and the ones that are ignoring you end up crashing and burning or doing something completely different. So there's all those kind of metaphors that all mean the same thing. It's like, well, who do you really want to be, and what are your boundaries? And growing up, like raising children, there was all kinds of boundaries. Like, what am I trying to role model to my children? What am I going to accept as boundaries for my children? And like in my boundary training as parenting, trying to teach my children what I thought was acceptable behavior and unacceptable behavior in certain circumstances. And I guess that's where boundaries, and I guess like in the cellular metaphor as well, like there is a line, but it's a little bit flexible depending on the circumstances. It's not a hard and fast like line in the sand, like this is it. Like, it's not like the Berlin Wall. Like, it's not solid. The Berlin Wall's not solid anymore. But it's like it's got that flexibility around it. And I think as we all grow and mature throughout our life, what we accept and don't accept for our own personal boundaries changes as we grow. And I give everybody the opportunity to change and grow. I think everybody has the right to change. Everyone has the right to improve. And as a teacher and a school leader, I've had to have that attitude when a child has been a complete pain in the ass, that yes, they are learning, and they're learning to be themselves and find their place in the world, place and space in the world. And even if they've had a reputation of being like this, whatever behavior that was really annoying and distracting and disruptive to everybody, including themselves, they have the right to change. They have the right to learn. They have the right to be different. And sometimes children growing up don't give other kids that opportunity. They keep holding them back to that old self instead of giving them the right to move and change. In fact, that was what I felt as a child. And I said to my parents, I don't want to go to boarding school. And then the way I was being treated and held back and tried to be put in a box by my peers who I had known since birth and weren't letting me change and be the person I wanted to be, I said to my parents, right, that's it. I'm going to go to boarding school so that I could be me. I wanted to be me. I didn't want to be my mother's daughter. I didn't want, like, because my mum was a local doctor in the community. So everybody introduced me as, oh, Fiona's the doctor's daughter. Like, no, Fiona's Fiona. And Fiona's not her older brothers. Yes, she's got similar qualities and might look the same and have the same sense of humour and all of those, but Fiona's Fiona. And I wanted to be Fiona. And I guess my whole life, I've just been looking for that spot to be me. I just want to be me. And I guess anybody who's watching this who wants to be yourself, it's around your boundaries. Like, what are you willing to accept and not accept? It's taken me a while to work that out, though.
It was beautiful. I loved it. And I think we all relate. It's kind of, I mean, that's kind of a developmental thing when you're like 10 to teenage, you start struggling with your place in the whole. Peers are really important. Um, and it is hard to be held back to like, well, that's who I was in primary school. I want to be something different. And how many times, like, I think about how many times in my own life, like, I've broken free to have a different experience and try to expand who I am. Um, I also think it's important to mention with boundaries that you kind of start first with a rule. Like when you first start with boundaries, they are a little more rule focused and then they kind of shift. And what you were saying with circumstances, going back to the cell membrane, if you have had a lot of water, your cell may not want to absorb the water. Whereas if you're dehydrated, your cell will eagerly take in water coming in through those cell membrane. So circumstances and like where things are within your own ecosystem can vastly change so that it's not it's not like a set it and forget it. And the other thing I kind of wanted to circle back around, um one of my favorite musicals is Rent, and there's a line in there where one of the characters, "You can take the girl out of Jersey, but you can't take Jersey out of the girl." And I think that's another part when you're setting boundaries. Like if you have rules, it's all external. And so it's like you're taking yourself out of Jersey. But when you set a boundary, you're taking Jersey out of the girl in the sense that you're moving the energy so you're not accepting it outward and you're moving it in the inward. And the inward is when the self-creation really gets to start. And that's where you really start to create this space where you can just be me, like you were saying, you just wanted a place where you could be yourself. And that's where like the inner ecosystem begins to build. And it takes time. And it can take a lot of time. We're so used to things being really quickly. It's like you can order something online and it's here 2 days later. Like I can eat avocados all winter long, snow on the ground, avocados from Mexico. And my ancestors didn't have that option. They were lucky to have canned peaches or pickled cherries. All right. I love that we're both wearing blue. I think that's so fun. I just noticed, like, we both have the V-neck thing going on. We did not plan that.
We did
That's
not.
awesome.
We did not plan that. I planned to wear something that would cover up all the cherry splatters.
And you did a great job. I don't see any cherry splatter except your hand. That's
It looks like
and the jar. How's the cherries? We probably should wrap up. We've oh, nice. Are those the finished ones?
They are, and there's not much room left in my bottle.
No, it is. It's almost full of pits. That jar's the pits. All right.
Yeah.
So
Lovely
we're gonna wrap.
talking.
Yeah, it's been great talking to you. I've loved this conversation. So yeah, let's wrap this up. And if we want to continue, we'll do another episode so that people can find what they're looking for. And thank you for joining us. If you like this, check out the Fiona and Tasia playlist, subscribe, follow along, and have a great day.